both of you do a spectacular job in your businesses and for your clients with getting more visitors to opt in or subscribe. So I'd love to hear your tips, your techniques, your gotchas for getting more people to sign up. Really, what kind of opt-in bait in particular people should be creating. Jessica, could you share with us?
Yeah, so that's it. The biggest tip I have for people to get their visitors to sign up for their list is to create that awesome piece of opt-in bonus content. You know, some people call it a carrot or an opt-in incentive, but it's that piece of content that gets sent to the user when they've given up their name and email address for it. And the first big thing you need to think about is your target audience. Who is it that you're trying to get to, join your list?
Right.
Yeah, a big mistake copywriters make, I see this all the time, is that they create something that they want to create, that they're inspired to create, but that's really for them. And they don't think about who it is they're trying to reach. So instead of creating something on inspiration, and I'm so guilty of that, I probably created 3 or 4 pieces of really awesome content on inspiration early on in my business before I figured out what it was that my target audience really needed from me. And I figured out what problem I could solve for them. And then I created that piece of content, and that really grew my list. So point number 1, think about your target audience.
Good point.
Great point.
Yeah, and I should point out that newsletters, sign up for our newsletter. Ooh, it's the worst thing you can do right now. It really is. We're drowning in a sea of newsletters, a sea of just not great content hitting our inboxes every day. So do something better than a newsletter.
Okay.
Create a report or a white paper or an ebook. But yeah, there's so many options to choose from that are better than sign up for a newsletter.
Okay.
And afford to be boring.
No, you can't afford to be like everybody else today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. Okay. Yeah. Other tips?
Yeah, so think about how your audience actually consumes the content. Okay. So as copywriters, we often assume that everybody's a reader, and that is not entirely true. Some people prefer to listen. Some people prefer to watch. So when you're thinking about the format of the content you're creating, consider maybe adding a video or a link to a podcast, an audio file for the audience that prefers those mediums. And not every piece of content you create needs to be this multimedia experience, but for some target audiences, that can really, really engage them and really make an impact. And the next thing I wanted to mention, of course, is, because this is something I'm very excited about these days, is long form content. So when you're thinking about the content that you're going to create, you're going to have to think about how long it's going to be. And there is a lot of reports out right now that say that long form written content, so content over 1,000 words, is performing better than short form content. And I'm a huge advocate of long form content. Again, we're just drowning in a sea of crappy and mediocre content. And the long form, well-researched, in-depth content can really, really stand out in the crowd. That said, think about your target audience. That 20-page report on marketing trends, it might work great for a CMO, but if your target audience is moms of young kids, you need to create something more like a checklist or a tip sheet probably. So as much as I love that long form content, think about your target audience and what it is they need from you.
Yeah, excellent. It reminds me of a study I saw from out of Lead Pages, where they had tested video series and ebooks and all sorts of different opt-in bait kind of options. And the consistent winner for them has been an infographic, really. It's like a gear guide. It just has 5 different gear recommendations for X purpose, but it's just a simple visual that they can save to a desktop and look at later or share around really easily. So yeah, just like you're saying, keep learning about your audience and then tailoring and experimenting with that opt-in bait. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, it's all an experiment, but if you know your target audience really well, then you can nail it pretty quick.
Awesome.
What's really interesting about that is we were talking about this earlier, but I've literally spent the last year testing for my audience what they need and discovering my audience of online entrepreneurs. They don't want to watch something that's 90 minutes long. They don't have that kind of time because that time is literally money in their business. So something like, let's say you're going to do a 3-part video series, you could do that, but that better be for the person who wants to be an entrepreneur. For someone who's actually busy, we actually ended up finding checklists, short templates. Those things performed a lot better than a really high quality, like 35-page, fully designed, beautiful ebook with like 35 expert opinions. No, that was not our best converting opt-in. So by tracking that information over time, we're able to see, okay, test and correct and refine it as we go. And the nice thing is we've been doing that with clients too. And it's, every time everybody has a different result. Sometimes video sometimes is a thing. Sometimes audio is a thing. You got to know how you best perform and what type of things your audience actually wants to be consuming. And then, the other part of that is not just throwing it up on the opt-in bar on your homepage and being like, yeah, that's good, I'm out. You really need to be really intentional throughout your entire website and understand that people don't just show up at like your homepage. They show up at /blog/about a piece of blog content. So being really specific about having different places for them to have that opportunity to opt in and tailoring that. So the way you're going to offer it up at the end of a blog post as a content upgrade is going to be really different than how you're going to offer it up in a blog sidebar or on a resource page. So, it's not just getting it up on that opt-in. That one opt-in bar, you're going to have it throughout your site and really be able to maximize that and use that in a way that is smart and strategic so that as many people as coming to your site, you can convert as many of them as possible. Because otherwise, what's the point of all that traffic?
So true. That is the whole point, right? Ideally is to get them into your list in so many cases at least.
And one thing I've been working with this a lot with clients and just in, business friends and conversations, I'm like, do you have a conversion goal set up in your Google Analytics? And they look at me like, set one up for your opt-in. It is such an easy thing for you to say, we now convert 14% of our traffic we know signs up for these opt-ins. And you'll get to know what's really, really working versus just kind of guessing, anecdotally, we had 300 people sign up last month. That was all right.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it's a great action that people can actually now just go take to learn what's working and what isn't.
Exactly. And the other thing that, really, if you're trying to shape your opt-in content, you're really struggling, kind of going back to what Jessica was saying about your audience, listen to what your clients are telling you. What kind of problems are they had? So my business partner and I, we just launched a new piece of content called the newsletter map. And the newsletter map was actual words out of multiple clients a month. They're like, this newsletter thing, it's so hard. I don't know what I'm doing. How do I actually create that piece of content? And I was like, newsletter map? Thank you. Really just start taking notes. Put them on sticky notes in your wall. Do whatever you need to do because that's the best thing they're going to identify with because they're going to go, oh wait, that's for me. I know it.
It's amazing. It's another great example of just how listening closely to what people are saying and then not interpreting it, just taking it and running with it, right? Not saying, I think they want something like a map. No, they said they want a map, a newsletter map. Make one and give it to them, right? It's a great example, Maggie.
Yeah, and we didn't jazz that up. It's literally called the newsletter map.
And see, you can see newsletters aren't dead, but they're like your point here. It's a piece of follow-up content. It's not your opt-in bonus, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and don't just. If you're going to go to all this effort of getting them to sign up. Oh my gosh, don't just this is one of the most jarring things that we do. We throw them onto our newsletter list and we go, good luck, have fun. No, where's your get to know you? I call it the welcome. That is the moment when someone is most excited about you and your business or your organization. Don't botch it. It's like going on a first date and having a really bad opening line. You need to really be intentional about what comes after that moment when they opt in, not just one email to say, here's your free thing, good luck.